All right. Hello. Welcome to Armor Training Podcast. We got the full squad here today. My name is Rich Ryan, joined by Ryan Kent, Meg Jacoby. Everybody's out here. Everybody's stateside too. Isn't that right, Meg?
Let's
You're here?
go.
Yeah, I
Kent and
am.
I were not here.
This is my living room.
Yeah.
Dude,
so,
the night that I got back from Glasgow, I don't know about you, but I had the best night of sleep that I've had I can't even remember. It was so nice coming back. It was like my body knew it was like back home. Now we can finally rest and relax and go to sleep. And I don't even snore. Sarah was like, you were snoring like all night long.
I was up last night was my first night back, and I was up at 4 a.m. this morning. I was like, all right.
Really?
Yeah, I was over there a little bit longer than you were.
That's true.
So I pretty much was adjusted by the time I came back. So
I was dead to the world for like 13 hours.
That's how it was
at
on the way
8
over.
p.m. Were you really?
Yeah, I was like,
that's good.
It's like the overnight deal. Yeah, and I slept like 12 hours that night and adjusted pretty well. But now I'm like gonna have early mornings these next couple of days, which is great.
Nice.
You're just gonna get shit done.
Gonna get shit done.
Yeah.
Before anyone else is up.
I kind of like that. When I come home, I'm like that too. I'm up early, so then I'm like getting my first workout done early, and then I feel like way more accomplished.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, we're already done. It's 9 a.m. Almost done for the day already.
Yeah. And then sun's out a little bit later. It was interesting.
Yeah.
In the UK, their daylight savings is not until March 30th. So like it happened here and not over there while we were over there. And then we come back and now it's just like sun until 7, which is just the best.
This was like a pretty nice travel because it's only 4 hours ahead of East Coast. So this was not like
because
so
of daylight savings.
awful.
Yeah.
Right. True. Because of daylight savings.
I didn't notice it. I didn't.
Not that bad.
I had zero issue with. I feel like the time difference.
You slept well.
Yeah.
And now you're East Coast instead of where we were.
Yeah.
Last year when you were traveling over, it was 2 more hours.
Mm-hmm.
So one
I feel
thing,
like the first order of business though. Let's go, Rich Ryan.
Let's go, Rich.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Let's go, dude.
Nice.
Fucking awesome race, man. Awesome race.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it feels good. This was more affirming than last year. It felt like this huge accomplishment because I didn't make it the year prior. And I just like fought so hard last year and the years coming up to it that it was like this big like sigh of relief and like that I accomplished this goal. This year it felt a little bit more affirming because I did have that kind of breakout in Chicago and then I didn't follow up very well in Vegas. And then to actually follow up and have a similar type of race that I had in Chicago, it's like, okay, like we're actually okay. I was like, cause when you run a race like this, my college coach said this once, cause there was this kid who ran like 4:07 in high school. And then in college, he like couldn't do it again. And he says like, you did it once, like you could do it. Like there's really no such thing as a fluke in endurance sports. There's like, you can just be awesome one day. And then like it's still in you, like in ball sports, it can be a fluke, right? There's like a little bit more luck, but I started having those thoughts a little bit. I was like, can I do this again? Was that a fluke? So it feels really good to just like have it be validated that, hey, we're okay here. We're on the right path.
You and I are like opposite, like where I was at in that season, you didn't make it. We've basically just like flip-flopped roles.
We flipped. Yes. I've been where you are and you've been where I am. So, and you've been even higher than me. So I still got some work to do.
You got to go win a major, dude.
Got to win a
Get
major.
on my level.
Podium at Worlds to match you. So that's what we got to be thinking now at this point. So, yeah, it was great. It was really fun to be over there. I don't know. How do you guys want to do this? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to just do like
keep going?
Yeah,
so race rolling. Recap.
Just give a little recap.
Scotland's awesome, by the way. I feel like we should.
Scotland's great.
Yeah,
we
cool
had
country.
Very cool. Everyone's really nice. Meg, you've not been?
No. This is really funny to hear because Benny had the polar opposite experience of you.
He wasn't
like,
feeling
this is the worst place ever. It's so miserable.
Like were the people mean to him?
Germany.
The weather wise.
He's like, people are drinking at 9 a.m. He's like, what is going on?
So after the race, the Thursday, Amy and I popped around. We hit up the pubs. We were out there on the pub
Pubs.
scene. There was a whiskey spot called the Ben Nevis, great on the West End. We went to another spot called the Pot Still for those Glaswegians who are listening. Amazing spots, and they were just like, when you get in there earlier, like it was like they're really quiet, and like when people are in there, but then like the buzz starts getting more and more, and the vibe starts getting up. The more people are drinking, so it's just like the sound of repression, just repressed emotions. And then they just come out more and more as the whiskey starts flowing. So the pub scene is legit, but that is what you do there. It reminded Amy and I a lot of Philadelphia, because it's like, it wasn't like touristy. It's like the people who are in and around the pubs are the people who live there. And it's, but if you're into that kind of thing, can't you hit the pubs?
No, I went nature, full on exploration. We on Thursday morning, my buddy Phil and I, we took a 2-hour drive, left at like 6 a.m., 2-hour drive up to town of Oban, which is like a coastal town. And then we popped on a 45-minute ferry ride to the Isle of Mull and spent like 6 hours just exploring the
awesome.
Isle of Mull. And oh my God, like some of the scenery out there was, and I've traveled a good bit, and it was unlike anything that I've ever seen before. It was so beautiful. And did basically a whole drive, almost all the way around the Isle of Mull, and met some locals, talked to some people, and from my experience, everyone was like super friendly, and enjoyed having us there, even though I was American. I'm always like scared that I don't want to tell people that I'm American, because they're probably just like
they tell.
Oh yeah, they can tell.
They just look at you.
Bass Pro Shop's hat on. They're like, I don't want to tell anyone I'm American.
No, but it was honestly a really good time, and it was good for my soul to have that the day after the race, and I was looking forward to that. Really, no matter how the race went, I was really pumped to go do that, and it was just like a really good time.
All right, well, let's get into the race recap.
Did no drinking. No, we didn't
hit the pubs. No. I was in there, man. I had too much whiskey.
Fucking way too many coffee shops, though. I think the amount of caffeine I consumed while I was over there was probably way too much.
Still a little espresso heavy for me, but it's still good coffee. All right, so let's just start with kind of like the prep leading in, or I guess we can go backward, talk about the race, then we can talk about the prep, talk about what we did in Scotland. So I've not had a good international race up until this point, like every race before that, and I think it's for a variety of reasons now looking back, and a lot of it was the prep, but I wanted to make sure that I did everything I could to adjust the sleep and to keep my stress low. Because a lot of times I'd be like, put a lot of weight on it. It's like, we're spending a lot of money to go out here. It's like, is this the right thing to be doing? And then if things start not going perfectly, I would unravel a little bit. So that was the number one goal, is like, let's not do that. Do everything I can to keep that as low key as possible.
When you told me, I had a good feeling when you told me you were sleeping really well, because I know that that's a big problem for you usually. So I was like, okay, this is a good sign. You know what I mean? Usually I feel like you're pretty anxious about, if you're not sleeping, then you get more anxious about how you're not sleeping. Yes. And I know that like gets in your head. So
that's been a problem
for worse.
Yes. Yeah. I get stressed about the stress and the stress of not sleeping and what that's going to do. So yeah, that was great. So one thing that I did for that is I got with my buddy who is a neurologist at, in San Francisco, and he has worked with some athletes to help adjust their sleep. And he has a colleague who has like her own business doing that. He's kind of like dipping his toe in that, trying to figure out the best way to help athletes adjust. So just talking with him a little bit and figuring out the best ways to get the sleep adjusted. So some of the main takeaways were, and we've talked about this before, is getting outside right away and spending good amount of time with like the sun in your eyeballs, like on your face, to start to send those signals of like, this is the morning, right? This is the morning time when you're up.
I've heard this before.
So that was something that I actually did that the week or two leading into the race too, I got outside right away in the morning here and actually getting like 30 minutes, like 20 to 30 minutes of like sun exposure first thing. So that's supposed to get your rhythm back in place. Another way that you can help with the rhythm of things is to supplement with melatonin. And I typically don't. I haven't done this before. I did a little bit on a personal trip to Italy earlier this year, and it worked pretty well. But my buddy's recommendation, his name's Rafael Zuzuzwaragi. He's my main guy. He
That's made up.
That's a real person. That's my boy. And he, the dosage, what they give melatonin is about 5 milligrams is what it is. And like, if you just buy it from wherever, ESN has a melatonin, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably 5 milligrams.
Probably.
I would assume. But he said that experimenting with higher doses, so like, and then weaning off of it as the days go by. So I actually I bought a spray so that it would assimilate a little bit quicker. It doesn't have to go through the gut. You might lose a little bit of there. And I was doing like 9 milligrams, almost doubling the dosage that you would typically get. And I slept really, really well, like right from the jump. And every night I would sleep basically all the way through the night. And I also did, excuse me, just a better time of getting off screens, like keeping that away. Like just like I had a physical book that I was reading and just really like winding things down. And yeah, I was getting excellent sleep. So that was something that I felt was very, very valuable.
Nice.
Dude, I introduced, when did you start taking the melatonin? Because I did the same thing actually. Okay. I started taking it probably like the week before I left.
Did it help your sleep?
Yeah, because I moved back my bedtime about 30 minutes a night for about 5 or 6 straight days to help me acclimate to the time zone.
Should you move it forward?
No, you move it backwards, dude. Because if you move let's just say your bedtime is at 10 p.m. and that would be 2 a.m. over there. But if you move it back, and let's say I'm going to bed at 7 p.m., that's only 11 p.m. at UK time. So you're trying to get on their schedule. So
you moved it up. You're saying
moved it up.
I'm saying supposed to move it up.
But Rich thought up, so you're thinking the same thing, but you just said that.
Yeah, I moved it up.
Yes, earlier in the day.
That's like
you started going to sleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm impressed you could do that and go to bed at 7.
It worked. Well, the thing is, I've never taken melatonin before.
Okay.
So
that's the secret sauce.
And that stuff is for real. Like I had the best dreams. Normally I don't I don't even remember dreaming at all, but I was just sound asleep. And I started with 2 milligrams and then built up to 5. And then I think I took 10 maybe once. And I was like, well, that was too much. That was too much.
Because you can get groggy. Like it can leave you pretty groggy into the next day, apparently. But I wasn't experiencing that just because of the shift,
I think just because I was sleeping so well. I don't think it had anything to do with the medicine. I just woke up and was like, whoa, I've been dead to the world for like 10 hours.
And that, so just melatonin in general, it can be a little habit forming because of that, because it's like, and I've experienced, so I'm going to still supplement with it now as we're back over like trying to readjust, but I'll probably wean off of it. In the past where I've gone from like taking 5 milligrams to taking none, then my sleep gets interrupted. Like I actually have bad sleep when I come off of it. So that was just something I was like, that's fine. Like I'll just have some bad sleep next week to have good sleep before the race. So yeah, like taking it always, because it is a hormone, right? Like, so you do want to be naturally being able to produce melatonin, right? I don't know if it gets depressed. Maybe it would a little bit, but I mean, you want to be natural. It's like the cycle of the sun, like everybody, like the way all the world revolves around it. So yeah, that's just are you taking it now, or
I've taken it the 2 nights that I've been back. Yeah. Just to
I'll probably
play catch up on sleep.
Yeah. So I'll do the same. So that was very helpful. So it sounded like you had a pretty similar experience with that, Kent, like making sure the sleep was adjusted over.
And I used the Time Shifter app. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Time Shifter app. but it kind of gives you a plan on
Mm.
what to do.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
it starts like 2 days before your flight. You just punch in like your all your flight information, and then it calculates like when you need to get light, when you should take melatonin, when to have caffeine. And so yeah, like when I was adjusting for the time zone in Glasgow, it had me, I think the last day before day before I left, I had to get up at I think 4:30. That was my bedtime was 7:30, and then I was up at 4:30, and I had to turn on all the lights in the house. Like I needed light.
Yeah, because there's no light outside.
It's like pitch black outside. Everyone's still sleeping, and I'm out in the living room with, every light on in the house. But it felt like it worked because I don't think I had any issue with jet lag or anything like that.
Something else I took during the day was B12. I took a little bit of that just to curb any like kind of sleepiness. Have you guys ever taken just like straight up B12? Like in higher doses?
No.
It can definitely feel up, like how caffeine can make you feel up, and there can be a little bit of that anxiety. There was one day where it felt like I had too much caffeine, even though I didn't, but because I think I didn't need to take the B12. Where the days prior, I felt good and it gave me energy throughout the day, so that at night I was like tired and I didn't feel like I needed to nap. But there definitely is a little bit of like that like jittery angst that can come with it. So I'm not going to take it very often, I don't believe. But that was another thing that I put in place too. So yeah, sounds like we did a good job on that.
Yeah. It's just light work, dude.
We've done this a couple times.
Travel ain't no thing.
That's another thing too. It's like the first couple times I traveled internationally to compete, I had no idea what to expect, like how I should feel. But this time I was just like, I have a general idea of what it's going to be like, right? And even if I'm not 100%, like that's fine. There's nothing physically different. I'm just like tired for a day, and then like physically everything else is the same.
You know what I think the move is not training the day. Like when you get to your destination, just don't even worry about training that day. Just focus on rest and recovery.
For sure. Yeah.
I landed at 4:30 p.m. and initially I was like, all right, I need to freaking hustle to the gym and like get a workout in. And then, the day before I left, I was like, you know what? That's fucking too much. Like
I agree with that. I also have experimented with like doing a hard session on the same day as travel. I think is terrible. That has always yielded me to feel really bad when I get there versus doing it one day before. And I think it's just the recovery. Like you're on a plane, you're not really sleeping, so you're not getting the recovery you would need from that hard session. So like I have very intentionally, I don't do that anymore. So even if like, and it's hard to plan because if you are trying to go over in advance, and that's kind of like the day that the last hard session or one of them should fall on, it can get kind of tricky, I think, but I've learned that is not ideal. So I don't do that anymore.
Because you're just not agree with that.
You need sleep to recover, and you're not getting it. You're on a red eye, you know what I mean? And you're stressed way more. Like I'm always stressed on travel day because I'm like, okay, I have to drive 3 hours, I have to park my car, I have to get an Uber to the airport. I have to, like, you're always feeling anxious on a travel day, even if you've done it a million times, right? Like, you're on a time schedule and blah, blah, blah. So for me, that was one thing I also learned. So now I also like to take a rest day the day I land too. And I don't do a hard session on. So
it's basically like 2 recovery days in a row. Like
kind of
hesitate, and it's better off in the long term, even though it feels like, man, I wish I could do something. Yeah. And like you mentioned, like stressful, and you're just like bound to the positions of the flight. You're just like, can't move that much. And like physically, it's just not going to be good. Like you feel bad after a quality session, even if you're like at home.
Yeah,
on a plane,
exactly.
Exactly. You guys don't really track like your sleep metrics too much, right?
No, I don't.
So I've been wearing a Whoop, and I have an Oura Ring too. And I had the Oura Ring first, and I just got this Whoop. So I've been kind of comparing the data. And I was like, I'm going to bring the Whoop And my plan was to not look at the metrics. I was like, I'll just look at them later in case they're bad, so I don't like screw them. Looked at them right away. Didn't care. But that was also something that again just helped me realize that nothing was different, right? Because like you get your HRV and your resting heart rate, and everything improved as I landed. And I think a lot of it was being at sea level. My resting heart rate for like 3 nights in a row was like, the lowest point that it got to was like 32, and one day it was 31. I was like, am I going to be able to make it? Is it going to be beating blood through my body, or is this too low? So like I was recovered.
That is so low compared to mine.
What's yours typically, you think?
I think
like at sleep.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it's at sleep. Like when I wake up, it's like 76, I feel like. Yours is 30 when you sleep. Are you dead?
31.
That's crazy. Does
31.
Amy have to like come over and like listen to see if you're breathing?
I almost had to ask her, like, make sure this is like working. There's something I think that this happens with people who are doping on EPO. It can lower your heart rate so much that it can be like very dangerous. So I think something that happens, people will like get on their bikes and cycle in the middle of the night just to keep their heart rate up so that it doesn't dip so low that they like die. So I was like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. No EPO. But yeah, so that was helpful again, like to have the metrics. And I'd actually talked to John Wynn at the last one. He said when he looks at it, it takes him 3 or 4 days, and he monitors his HRV, and however many days it took for him to get back to baseline is then how he plans his travel. Right. So he's like, I know my HRV is screwed up for like 3 or 4 days, so I need to get there more than that. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, that's like valuable data to have.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Race day. Are we there?
Day.
Race day. Yeah, I'll start. So coming into this race, again, I talked a bit about how when I came into Vegas, I was like, I can fight to be on the podium here. And so I raced the way that I thought I needed to race to get on the podium. And then in this race, I was like, I need to race to qualify for Worlds. And then I just kind of reframed it back and raced the way I raced in Chicago, where it was like extra conservative early, and then having points that I can really push into like the stations, and then kind of clear some spots, and then be able to like accelerate into the actual runs. So that was like the plan from the start, is to go out like really cautious and hammer the sleds, and then just kind of see where I was at. So that was like the plan tactically. And also, Meg, we talked about this a little bit off air, but after Chicago and like going into the holidays, I just like took my eye off of my nutrition and my body composition. And I was like a little heavier than I was at Vegas than I was in Chicago. So like the weeks after that, I just really did like approach it like how you use, Meg, is just kind of like cleaning things up, right?
Yeah.
Because like, okay, I would typically have a snack now, or I would have like chips to supplement that, or I'd have like I cut out things that were not necessarily nothing. I don't think like any food is like good or bad, but like food that is
like
just not serving you in any way.
Yeah,
filler
just
stuff.
filler stuff. That's what I always kind of look at it like that.
Yeah, that's just like delicious and addicting and like part of the routine. I was like, I'm just gonna cut this stuff out. Or like
you were craving it, like you wanted salt or something, so you ate a couple chips, and it's just not neat necessary. It's like just eat a meal then, you know what I mean, rather than
exactly.
That stuff.
So it was like cravings, and before I would justify, be like, yeah, I've like worked out hard today, like I'm craving this. I'm like, I could eat more, so just like cut that stuff out, right?
Yeah,
and that helped me get my body composition back to where I felt like really confident. So I think like physically I was actually different than where I was in Vegas. And so having that little boost mentally and physically gave me good confidence coming in. I was like, okay, like I'm different now. Like I can execute the way I want to. I'm going to be able to run really well. And if I stick this plan, things should go well. Right. And so, yeah, I just kind of chilled on that first run. I like felt like I was kind of like jogging after like the ski and after like the sled push. And
I thought something was wrong a little bit because you came out of push right in front of me, and then I like
you flew past
right
me.
on by me, and I was like, "Is Rich all right?"
Yeah, no, I was just like,
But
I
it
need
was
to have a
part of
good
the plan.
pull.
Yeah.
I just had to have a good pull. I came into the push in 14th. The only person I was ahead of was Win, and Win was like sick the week before. But I hammered the thing. I was like 202 on the push, which was the fastest push of the day. And then, yeah, I just kind of settled myself in, and then was able to have a good pull. And then I was like in it from that point. I was like, I think I was in. You were like in 6th coming into the pull. I think I was in 7th. And I think I came out in 7th as well because Sean Noble and Tomas had monster pulls. But then I was able to pass them on that run. And then I passed Sandy on the burpees. And then I was in like 4th or 5th because Playa was right there. And when I sat down on the row, I was definitely monitoring who was around. Like I knew who hadn't qualified. And I was like paying attention to where they were and where I was. When I sat on the row, I was in 5th. Everyone in front of me had qualified. And then Sandy sat next to me. And then Tomas and Sean sat down when I was at like 120 meters. And I was like, okay, I think I'm all right. And I was like, I'm moving forward. And that's when I really started to be like feeling good about being able to qualify. And then I was like, okay, let's see what we can do going forward. And I felt like I was going forward and seeing Hunter like not doing great. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to try to catch him. So that was like a carrot there. And then the podium was like around. So coming into lunges, I got to do something about my lunges. They're just like not fast. I got to like, that's a point. And my burpees were good. I think they were 3rd or 4th best, but like Palaio caught me and passed me. And JK's were like faster than mine than I would like them to be. So I think I need to work on my burpees and my lunges, just like the speed of things, if I really want to push toward that podium. So Palaio flew past me on the lunges, and my run was okay after, and I just knew like I had juice. And I came into the lunges, came into the wall balls thinking I had an unbroken set in me. Meg, do you know how many I did?
No.
I broke at 96.
Oh my God, you're an idiot.
Like,
are you kidding me?
I don't even know why I finished and I was like, nice, I did that shit unbroken. And then someone mentioned,
you're like, no, I didn't.
Someone mentioned, he's like, you almost went unbroken there. I was like, no, I did. He's like, no, you didn't. I was like, oh my God, I didn't. I thought I did it.
Dude.
I was just like, hey, I did. I'm here. But I saw Ply was dropping. God. I saw I was in front of him. I had some space on Bo, and I was just like, I just like dropped down with 4 to go. So technically didn't do him unbroken. I probably could have. If I really wanted to.
I think you probably could have hammered out 4 more. I think you probably could have faked your way through 4 more.
I could have done it. But so yeah, that was so it was good. Yeah. I mean, like, and finishing on the podium is amazing. This was a good field. This was like a good field on the men's side. It was like it was as good as Vegas. I mean, it wasn't exactly as good because Dylan wasn't there, but and Ronk hasn't raced since Hong Kong when he didn't do that well, right? So I mean, I think this was as competitive as a field as there's been this year.
Yeah.
And you stick Dylan in there, you stick Ronk in there.
The men's race is
exact race.
Tight, dude.
It's tight.
I mean, even when I started falling back, I was still like, dude, I'm like a minute and 20 seconds back from like where I would like to be right now. Like there was never any point where I'm just like so far out of it.
I think everybody was at the wall balls at the same time, like everybody.
Yeah, there were like 15 of you literally at the wall balls at one point or another.
So it's definitely getting tight on the men's side where like the margins could be anything, right? Like, Hunter didn't have a great day. Say he does have a good day, throw Ronk in there and Dylan. And then it's like, it's like all the way through, like anybody can finish on the podium at this thing. It's starting to feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it feels good, but immediately I was starting to think about like how to prep that was my main takeaway is like, man, my lunges need to get faster and my burpees need to get faster. So like those are the main takeaways. And I need to be
enjoy the performance though. Well, it sounds like you did, at least the day after.
Dude, I was in the pubs, man. I was out there doing the thing. Regret it. A lot of shame and regret.
I mean, the point is it's so easy to just like already look to the next thing without celebrating what you just accomplished and what it kind of took to get to that. I mean, I'm guilty of that. We're always on. Doesn't matter how good I do. Like even when I won Chicago, it was like, all right, how can I be better for Vienna? Like, I don't think I had even celebrated at all. Something I wish I could do
after Worlds. I was like, okay, what do we have to do this again? You know what I mean? Like already right away was like thinking of the next season.
You celebrated by herniating a disc. I'm just gonna go hard.
And that's the point. I think sometimes it takes those monumental moments. For me, going through this injury really made me reevaluate my own thinking because I was now being taken out and looking at what I've accomplished. And I'm like, I don't know that I've even given myself credit sometimes, like in my own mind, like, yeah, we talk about it. We do podcasts, we get invited to have conversations about it, but I'm talking about it, but my brain is already thinking of the next thing, like we don't take the time sometimes to be as proud as we should be because we're already ready for the next goal and we're setting.
I'll be proud when I do it again. And then I'll be proud when I do it again.
This hole is not filled. I need to keep trying to fill this hole.
What is this trauma I've gone through that is the way we think, right?
But there's no happiness.
I think it's super important for you, like going through the year of where you were chasing it and it didn't happen. And then last year it did happen, but then maybe the end result at Worlds wasn't what you hoped for. So enjoy this moment that you executed really well and don't just think already because you're already like, I need to do burpees better. I need to do lunges better. Like give yourself a few days and then look at it, and then start implementing. I think that's the lesson I've learned is like, don't just dissect yourself on the negatives. Like look at all the positives and all the things that went well first and soak that in,
Yeah, that's a great reminder. I appreciate that. Squad. And I had that thought too, is like, cause you hear that, right? Take time to celebrate the wins. You know what I did do to celebrate? I just did it this morning. Bought a C2 bike.
There you go.
Got one.
I got one pulled up in my
got it in the cart.
I got it in the cart.
I had it in the cart for a while. I was like, I'm doing it.
I'm so obsessed that I am thinking about buying. I'm going to my brother's in Florida for 10 days for the Miami race.
We're gonna get another
one. I'm gonna buy one for his house. My dad's down there, so he can put it together for me. So I have it. But my brother also just had knee surgery, so this will end up being like a tool he will use. But then now I'm like, okay, check that off the list. At my brother's house, I've got a Concept 2 bike I can use whenever I go there. That's how obsessed I am.
He came through for you with a rower one time, right?
He did. He
after my first C2s.
Yeah, that's our jam. That's our love language. Concept 2 machines. So this is actually a total random segue. But when my brother injured his knee, he started going on the ski erg. Okay, guys, my brother I'm 5'7.5". My brother is 5'6", 230, bodybuilder. He's pulling on the ski erg for one. He was doing 90-second intervals and he's pulling 1,600 cals an hour. And he texts me and goes, "Is that good?" I don't know. I'm like, is that good? I said, well, if your bodybuilding career doesn't work out, then we need to put you into this Concept.
Well, I mean, have you seen the world record holders? They're massive.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you're so, because he's so big up top and he had the right form. I was like,
just leans into it.
Maybe this is the next venture, my guy. Just had no idea what he was doing. Just pure muscle in it. Just 1,600 cows an hour. I'm going all out, and I'm like nowhere near that. So
So I gotta see Two Bike to celebrate. It's my birthday tomorrow. We're gonna cook a steak tonight.
yeah.
Happy B-Day, dog.
Wait,
Welcome
time
to
out. Is this a
38.
big birthday?
39, right, Kent?
Okay, you got one more year.
38.
All right.
You're 37, right?
We're the same
about to
age. How
turn
old are you?
39.
You're the same age.
I'm
Kent, you're
38.
39.
I'm 38, bruh.
No, you
Dude,
didn't.
there's
you turn
no way you're
39?
38. Dude, you're 39.
Dude, I'm
Yeah,
not.
dude. Yes, you are.
Dude, Sarah, I'm 38,
This is
bro.
what year were you born?
1986, both of us. Or Ken was born in
Dude,
85. He's
I've
December.
legit been telling everyone.
You are.
Anyone who's asked me in the last, I guess, it's got to be a year and a half now. I've been 38.
Oh my God.
You're gonna be at 38 like in 3 years, 4 years. Like, yeah, I've been
Holy
38.
shit! I turned 40 this year.
Yeah.
Wow, this is
Damn.
this is
In Dece-
hilarious.
In December it'll be
I don't look it.
2025.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Hold on, Rich. So you're 39.
I'm 38 still. Tomorrow
Till
I'll be
tomorrow.
39.
39. Okay.
You've been 39 for 3 or 4 months.
I'm like, you ever seen the movie Forever Young? It's like a 1990s movie.
Who's in it?
Yeah.
Mel Gibson. They freeze
You
his
want-
body.
That's what you're gonna do?
I've just been 38. I don't age, bro.
Like Benjamin Button, going the other direction. No, you're about to be 40. So if you want to do anything for your 40th birthday,
I
you
honestly
gotta
didn't
start
know
planning.
You're welcome for us helping to clear that up for you.
Well, when you're younger and you ask like an uncle or your parents or whoever, and you ask them how old they are and they don't know. You're like, how do you
Yeah.
not know?
There you
Yeah.
go. You're that old that
It
you
happened to
forget your
me.
age.
That's right.
I
You are
did
that
tell
old.
when I did my thing at UConn and I was doing my speech, I did say I was 31. And then I was like, wait, I'm 33.
Yeah,
I'm
you missed a
almost
couple of years
34.
there.
I was like, whoops. Sorry about it. I
we-
started this when I was 31.
we wish we were still there. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm 33, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 39.
And like
in a
all the
couple of hours.
19-year-old college students were like, you're old, dog, you know?
They're like that when you're like 19, you don't know anybody that's in their 30s. You're like,
No,
it's
you
like,
think
you're a
it's
weird age.
so far
Yeah.
off. It just comes in a blink of an eye.
So overall success for me in Scotland. It was a great trip. Loved the UK. Really did enjoy Scotland and happy to have gotten a good race under my belt internationally. Set up well for Chicago. Have some good things to work on. And yeah, so I'm. It couldn't have gone better. Honestly, it couldn't have gone
Nice.
better. So I'm very pleased. Kent, tell us about your race.
What's up, dude? What's up?
Tell us about your race, dude.
We were out there
We were.
doing the thing.
We were.
No,
Yeah, you were aggressive up front. You said you wanted to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I did a similar thing that you did. I had pretty much since Vegas, I was like, I didn't really want to lose any weight. I just wanted to lose a little bit of body fat. So I cleaned up my diet too. Y'all know how much I love my soda and
Mhm.
candy and things like that. And I pretty much went cold turkey on all of that stuff. And what's crazy is I allowed myself to have it again as when it was kind of like race week and I wanted some more sugar and carbs back in my diet and whatnot. I didn't even enjoy the Coke like anymore. It didn't
Yeah, I
even
thought you were
taste that
Pepsi.
well. Coke, Pepsi, same.
I thought you were brand loyal.
What?
I do prefer Pepsi if I'm being 100% honest.
Oh my
But
God.
I cleaned up my diet. I was happy with kind of like my body composition. Don't think I lost any weight per se. I just felt like I was a little bit leaner than I was in Vegas. As far as the prep goes, I spent the first 2 weeks after Vegas. I was like, I just need to get away from Hyrox stuff. And I did some DECA stuff for about 2 weeks and then went and did the DECA fit in Florida, which was probably my best race in like a long time, which is crazy to say because it really wasn't that fast of a time. And then that actually gave me a little bit of confidence, kind of moving forward, especially just being able to mentally withstand like a hard effort, like a DECA. And I guess the biggest change in terms of like the training was I lowered my volume a shit ton from what I was doing pretty much this all off season and even into the season, where I was hitting, 50, 60 miles plus. I think since Vegas, I only went over 40 one time. So it was a big reduction in overall running volume. And I, supplemented that with just more time on the machines. And it definitely, my legs came around. Like I was doing some things in training where I wasn't able to do weeks, months before that. So I could feel that my legs were a little more fresh. Was doing some things to prepare for a faster start. Cause I've been so afraid of going to that place, because every time I do, it seems I let the negative thoughts, start spiraling out of control. So I almost like avoid going to that place because I'm scared of what might happen. And for this race in Glasgow, I just felt like I needed to put my hand to the flame and just like go there and just see what happens, because I haven't been going there, and that really hasn't worked out either. So I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's just go for it, like right from the beginning. And yeah, I would say the pace went out pretty quick. And to be honest with you, I felt pretty good. I think there was the front pack of JK, Tim, Hunter, and Sandy, and then it was me. I was kind of in no man's land a little bit, and then there was another pack behind me, but I was like, I think we're flying right now, but I feel pretty good. And I got into the ski and had a plan. I was like, I'm going to ski 320. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I got in there and initially was pulling like 137 to 139, and it felt pretty effortless. I think I came through the 500 in like 139. And I was like, okay, like I can pull back. Let me pull back a little bit. And honestly, it felt like the moment I intentionally pulled back on the ski, it all of a sudden got hard, which is kind of weird. I was like, all right, now 143 feels harder than 138 felt. But I came out of there, I think, right at 320. So I averaged my 140 pace that I wanted to hit. And through some training workouts that I had done, I knew that I could come out and feel pretty good after that. I had confidence that I could ski that hard and still feel okay. And I did. I came out right behind Sandy, and I really just kind of sat on him that whole next run going into the push. And JK actually came by me on that run, which I was just like, yo, how are you doing this, dude? We're going like, at that point we were still rolling like, 320s K pace or so. And
he just
JK
runs hard.
I know.
He just goes out and runs hard,
like,
man.
Damn. But I was like, whatever. And so I've been aggressive first run, ski erg, and then the next run. And honestly, this was where my first mistake happened. I truly believe I was a few decisions, and Phil actually kind of, one of my small group athletes who was there supporting me, he actually kind of pointed this out after the fact. And I agreed with him that I was a few in-race decisions away from having I think a completely different outcome in that race. And I think the first one was, my plan was to be aggressive on the first run, ski, second run, and then kind of relax on the push, because that is a strength of mine. And I'm like, okay, I can push it just with a little bit less intensity, a little less effort, and still be able to move it like pretty well. So that was going to be my place to just kind of take my foot off the gas a little bit. And that was actually where I lost contact with that front group that I was with, the Sandy, Tim, JK, and Hunter. And not only that, the next group of guys had caught me. And it wasn't that I couldn't push the sled faster. It was just like, I'm going to brake every time in the middle on every single length. And then obviously on the turns as well.
Because in Vegas, you did no brakes.
Yep.
So like you can, but you're just like, that might have been too much in Vegas. Let's like chill and
Dial it
come
back
out
a
of here
little
with some
bit.
juice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the point. I was like, I'm gonna take my foot off the gas here and just kind of methodically get through the sled push, and came out of the sled push, and I was actually very surprised at, I guess, what happened during that station, because I felt like I moved it pretty well, but the front group, separated from me, and then the next group behind had caught up to me, and that just didn't do any favors for my psyche, I guess, at that point. And I wouldn't say it got in my head a ton, because I still felt pretty good. Like on that run coming out of push, I was like, I still feel good. Let's keep it rolling. That didn't go according to plan, but like I'm good. And then I think I got to figure something out on the sled pull. I haven't. So the sled pull has been a weapon of mine in the past, but ever since they switched the ropes, I've struggled with the sled pull, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. So I've got to figure something out with that station, because I should be.
You still pulling the heavy tank?
Yeah.
Same
I
thing.
think honestly,
Feels the
I
same?
made a note in my phone that I need to lower the weight on my sled pull in training and actually work on a faster cadence. Like I don't need to make it so fucking heavy, because honestly, it's not that heavy.
Your tank pull is way heavy. It's like
Yeah.
incredibly heavy. You just can't go fast. I mean, you get strong,
Right.
Yeah.
but you're just not. The cadence of it's way different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt like, my cadence was not great, and I guess it was on par with like some of the other guys, but
It was like
came out of
320.
there.
Yeah.
Came out of there and was like, obviously my mind immediately went to, all right, like here we go, burpee broad jumps. Like this is the point. And I knew coming into the race, I was like, just get to the fucking row. Just get to the row, dude, and like you're gonna be good. And I would say, I really want to say that from a mental standpoint, this was the best race that I've had since Chicago. I know it wasn't that great of a result, but this was improvement. And really that I will take that. And, the point that I'm trying to make is that I never, in Vegas, I thought about quitting a lot. Like I wanted to drop out like every second of that race. And in this race, I think I had the thought for like a split second, but just as fast as that thought came into my brain, it was gone. And that was like the only time it happened. So it never even crossed my mind to really drop out of this race. And for me, that is like a massive, massive win. And, coming into the burpees, that's kind of the make or break. At least it has been in the past. And I do think that was another mistake I made. I just I don't know. I just wasn't that aggressive on the burpees. And I think part of it was mental. And then I think the other part was a little bit physical too. It was a combination of both. I was definitely starting to feel physically tired in that moment. And I knew it was, I was like, this isn't going the way I want it to go, but we're going to continue to race and see what happens. And came out of the run after the burpees. And I think for the first lap after that, I felt sorry for myself. I was like, damn, like, I don't think it's going to happen today. And then I was like, I snapped out of it after that and kind of got back into it. And yeah, pretty much just like finish the race out from there. I mean, I knew the likelihood of me qualifying was slim to none, but I felt like I was happy with my, I guess, effort for the rest of the race after. And I guess I'm just happy to continue to make improvements. I've come to peace with like, this isn't going to get better in one race or two races or even a season. And, you know, from where I was at several months ago to where I'm at now is like a massive improvement, especially again from a mental standpoint. So I feel like I'm just continuing to trend in the right direction, and it leaves me optimistic. And it felt nice to kind of get out there and battle for a little bit, where in the past I've just been very submissive and not really wanting to stick my nose in it. And I think I think I got to get fitter too. Like I'm not going to deny that. Like I need to get better. And but overall, I honestly, like I got back to the room that night and I was obviously like disappointed that I didn't make it, because I really felt confident that I could qualify. But I was just like, you know what? That was probably my best race since Chicago in 2023. So you know what? Like, I'll take it. I'll take it. And this is just another thing that I can continue to build off going forward. And I feel that race really gave me the confidence that I can do this again at a high level, even though, you know, the race kind of faded off for me, you know, in the second half. But I know, and it might be me and, you know, a small circle of people that believe that, but that's okay. That's okay. And I honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be in Barcelona.
Yeah.
It might be the end for me this season, which I don't want to say for sure. But I have a little girl coming in a few weeks, and kind of feels like I should be there for my family. I don't want to leave and go across the pond. When, you know how after childbirth, you're not really out of the woods until kind of like a few months after the birth. There, you know, Sarah had some complications last time, and so might be one of those things where I kind of have to put the family first, which is not an easy decision to make, because I sort of feel like I just feel like I'm right there. I just need, and I told Sarah, I was like, I just need one more chance. I can do this. You know,
just one more go at it.
Just one more. But, you know, honestly, if it is, and like I said, I'm not 100% certain, but if it is, I did everything I could this year, and I've been tested in a way that I've never been tested before. And it's, I don't know. I feel like I've needed to go through something like this, and I'm no longer like bitter about it. I was pretty bitter about it for a long time, and kind of just like, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
I relate to that.
Yeah. And now it's just like, this is the situation I'm in, and these are the cards that I've been dealt, and like, I'm being tested, and we just gotta continue to work, try to get better, and work our way through this.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I can't believe that I'm in this situation. It's kind of mind-boggling, but who cares? Honestly, like, who cares?
And it is getting better.
It'll just make the comeback next season that much sweeter.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about is the racing back into the Elite 15, because you know how hard it is once you fall out of the Elite 15.
Yeah.
The struggle that it can be with these courses out here.
Because these courses are like this, and they're like, yeah, this counts. It's like, okay.
So
everybody
crazy.
who wasn't in the race or who didn't have a good day, it's like everybody else, they get their times. Yeah, we'll see how they do it for the rest of the year, or the next year, if they're going to keep the same thing.
Yeah.
But they've changed it every year, so they might not. Because Meg was saying the same thing. She's like, might need a timeout here.
I was like, I want a 56 next to my name. Jesus. I'll take a 57. I want a 50. I just want a 57. I'll be gracious. You can keep that extra minute. No.
So-
Yeah. I hope, I would love to see them move to a race your way in situation. I still like Elite 15. I still like that. I still like 15 athletes. I think that sounds cool. It's hard. It's elite, and that's the point. But I think it needs to be, and I hope they move this direction. I think it needs to be a race your way in. So maybe the top 40 on that leaderboard get invited to X amount of qualification races, top however, then get you into a major or something like that. Or whatever they decide to do. But I think it needs to be a show up and perform. And I think, I mean, on the women's end, I think, well, on both ends, I think it shows you have to show up and race against the best people, like on the day. And that's part of what racing is, right? It's not like I got a good course or I raced against nobody and could run my own race, and so I performed well. Like, you have to be able to execute when the pressure's on and when you're racing against the best people. And I think that's part of our sport. You know what I mean? And I think I hope that's the direction that they decide to move in, because this is going to make it very hard for any new people to get in.
100%.
Like it's just getting where it's not always truly going to end up being the best athletes competing against each other, because people keep getting in potentially off of a time that was maybe on a really fast course and we can't even touch again. You know what I mean?
And that's, yeah.
Nick, this is zero disrespect to the athletes. I just want to make that exceptionally clear. This is
not their fault.
Any athlete's fault.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not salty because I wasn't there. I was definitely jailed that I wasn't there to get that, get a time like that next to my name, let me tell you. But it's more like, I think for the future of the sport, something's got to give. You know what I mean? Because it's getting too competitive. Like, look at that race, like you guys were saying. You know, there's a lot of guys on the cusp that are great athletes that aren't getting opportunities to show that, I think.
And that's, I've talked about it. Like, if they want to find the number one best athlete, they'll probably get it with this style of whatever.
For sure.
But do they want to assemble the deepest field? Like, they're probably not getting it this way. You know, like there's
right. And then I think
very well be.
It's like so much happens in a year. I mean, look at where I'm at. So much can happen. So if you kind of get on the leaderboard and then it's good for a year, but you're out or you're like injured or whatever, and and you still got a spot, you know what I mean? Like, that's also like kind of tough for anyone else to get a chance even. You know
what's actually crazy now on the men's side though? There are 12 qualifiers, and only one of them is new to the Elite 15.
Okay, that's a good point.
It's just Jake. And I mean, we'll talk about Sean and Tomas here in a second, but they're but yeah, like like we're at the point that yes, it's getting very deep and very like dense from like now on the men's side, I'm looking at it. You have to be 50, you have to average 56.49. That's the 15th fastest without including this past race. So that'll all be just like crazy then. Like, and on the women's side, 15th is 102.41 without what just happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like, people will see these times next to people's names forever and be like, oh my God, but like that course was short. Like that, I don't think that they measured it correctly. Like, I think it was like 400 meters short, like full on, which is, you know, if you're running 520 pace, that's 80 seconds. And we're not running 520 pace, you know, so it's like 90 seconds of time, I think, is just like chopped off for the field. And that sucks for those not there. You want to talk about this Sean and Tomas thing?
Yeah.
So like,
Yikes.
if you didn't catch it, there was Jake Dearden took the second qualifying spot behind me, who had the first one there, and then it was Tomasz Torverdict and Sean Noble in an absolute battle, and they were one rep away on the wall balls, and then they dove across the line, basically colliding, and the came down to the 10th of a second in Sean's favor. And then 2 days later, just yesterday, I believe it was, Hyrox made a statement that there's been a change in the results because after review, Sean's wall ball sensor did not catch the 100th rep, and the judge was signaling for him to go, so he went, and he was assessed a 10-second penalty 2 days later. So there's a lot to kind of unpack with it, but I guess just like what was your initial response to this?
Who wants to go first? I mean, I think we're all on the same page here.
We are told to listen to the judge. We are told to listen to the judge. That is very clear from the video that the judge is like, go. He literally puts his arm and like points, go. We've seen the targets have errors ever since they've been rolled out. I mean, World Championships was a mess on the World
I
Ball
do
Tournament.
not like this target thing.
And so I think this is concerning for potential other issues going forward. And it doesn't appear that there was any opportunity to appeal this or like for Sean to like present his case. It was, from my understanding and from reading some of the posts made, Sean had put a post out today. He was not given the opportunity to fight this. It was basically like, nope, that's it. So I personally think like, I don't like that necessarily, because how does one side get to make an argument for review and then the other side can't bring his argument to the table, right? Like, I think that doesn't make any sense to me.
So yeah, one thing that like the retroactive administration of penalty is scary, right? Because then what?
Agreed.
Like now that it's open, it's like, okay, and then what? Are we gonna like review every like line step of the sled pull and then be like, oh, okay, you're actually assessed a 30-second penalty because we went back and looked and your judge didn't say, but he said to go. But like, we're just giving. Are they gonna do it to everybody? Like, and why just Sean? Why just this one instance? Because it was so close. Like, why can't we do it to JK, to Hunter, and like then just mix up all the times? Then we'll just get the results 2 days later and see how it all goes. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is sports where bad calls are made, and there's bad calls and good calls, and that's just how it is. And when the buzzer goes off, when you cross the finish line, for the most part, like it's over. And like, if you don't get a chance to appeal, that's crazy that Sean doesn't get to speak his side, because then that's also scary for the athletes, because that's an imbalance of power. And this is something that I made a bit of a stink at the briefing. I just like had questions about the burpee broad jumps, because last race I was like, I felt I was like,
you were being hammered. And we've talked about this. You were being hammered by your judge, and you were completely fine on your burpee reps. And to the point where the head judge then had to come over and be like, he's good.
And that was kind of their answer to it. I was like, if we feel like we're being misjudged, like what happens? And it's like, oh, we'll get somebody over there. It's like, okay, so the time that we lose, will we get that back? They're like, no. It's like, okay, but if it can be in the opposite, like you can give time to us. You can give time to us, but you can't take it away. Again, it's a power imbalance. Like, why can you do that, but I can't get it back if you screw me out of time? You can just like, it's not balanced at all. So I don't like that either, that they're like, it seems like they want to get it right, but like at what cost? You know, like like the trust of the athletes and the fairness is just like not, like, this is very unfair to Sean. But at the same time, that wall ball counter did not register that 100th rep. And if it was like his 59th rep, it wouldn't have counted and he wouldn't have gotten that time. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just bad timing and the optics look really bad because it says 99. So if you're Tomas, you're like, that was a no rep and he just ran across the line. Like he did 99. I did 100. Like,
yeah,
that's not fair to me. Because if Tomas got some no reps, like I got a couple no reps that were in the middle because of missing the target. And like, because it wasn't the 100th, my judge didn't tell me to go. Right. So like it was actually a no rep because all the rest of the athletes would have been given a no rep the entire rest of the set of that station, you know? So like I feel for him that way. And it is not fair to Tomas. But like, I don't know. The 2 days thing is like not okay.
I think it needed to be addressed like then, like right then. Like, okay, that was a super close finish. And I hope that they learn from this. Okay, that was a super close finish to the point that it came down to the 10th of a second. Before results are posted, I think they should have been doing a ton of review. Because if you're going to try to make any type of retroactive call and it does come down to that close, then you need to go back to the film and verify right then and there. Not
you're right.
2 days later and then 2 athletes have no idea. They're in limbo. They're celebrating and then they get told, oh, no, actually not. You know what I mean? Like that's awful for the athletes. Yeah, I know. I guess my confusion is I thought that we were supposed to listen to the judge. So that's my confusion because the judge is telling him to go, even though the target doesn't register 100. We've been told we need to listen to them.
They play it both ways. They're like, it's up to you to uphold the standard.
Confused
yeah, they're not. Like, they don't know. They don't know what they want to do in this circumstance, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. They don't know what to. Yeah.
And in this case, like for wall balls, for example, like is the judge the person or is the target? What's the judge here? Is it a combination of both? Is it like this technology and is that the first thing and the person's the second thing? Is the person just judging your depth and the sensor is your judge for the height?
Yeah.
I just don't think they know. And they're probably looking at like shit that says 99. Like that actually the judge gave him a no rep. And like the depth judge told him to go. Like the athlete should know not to do that because they try to do that to us too. It's like, you guys know better, uphold the standard. This is up to you ultimately to do the best that you guys can. It's like, sure. But who are we supposed to listen to? Like what happens in these circumstances? Yeah. So I mean, I feel for Hyrox in this, like, because it sucks. And it was such a magical moment. Like what a like crazy way to finish. And then to have like this be the result of it. It's just like such a bummer for the sport, you know, because it was so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got it wrong. They got this one wrong.
Straight
That's
up.
all there is to it. Yeah.
What should they have done?
Give it to them both. Give it to both of them.
And then there's 2 spots at last chance.
Yeah, or just make it 16.
Or just make it 16. I think make it 16 athletes. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, is there some sort of
tiebreaker, head to head, them two?
I would love to see those two.
You just can't fight. You can't make a public announcement and then, you know, award someone a qualification to the World Championships and then take that away. In what sport, if there is one, please let me know. In what sport can they go back and refer to the tape after the game is over and then change the outcome of the game? Is there one out there?
I think in track and fields, like if like you fall down in something you weren't involved in, right? They'll put you into the final. That stuff happens.
Is that the same thing though?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, this is essentially a prelim to a final. And I think like if it what happened at wasn't it wasn't it the mile like well just like it with like wasn't it Faith Kipyegon and
well that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, didn't that happen? Like there was like some jostling, and then
Mhm.
they retroactively DQ'd, or they DQ'd her at front, then they reviewed it, and then they reinstated her, or something like that. I thought
Yeah.
happened. So like it happens in track and field.
I don't know if that's apples to apples though. To be like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like a
Ball
photo
sports, it doesn't
finish.
happen.
It'd be like a photo finish in a track race, and then saying like, you know, one of the two athletes in the photo finish, you know, cut the other one off at some point during the race, which allowed a slight gain
It would be like if
the
they
race.
stepped on
Like,
the inline, like if they were stepped out of the bounds of the track, and
yeah,
it wasn't caught until later. I don't know if they do that, but like if they did review and be like, oh, they actually did step into the infield twice in a row or once in a row or whatever, you know. So I think it kind of does happen in track.
I think they just make it 16. I think that would be, man. If I was in Sean's shoes, man, I would be so pissed. I would be so pissed.
Now we got conspiracies flying around. It's like this dude's been cheating this whole time. We don't want him at Worlds. They just put their foot down. But I got to give it to him. He's a dog, man. He like with that ankle was not good. Like there's no way his ankle was any good for that race, and he just like stuck his nose in there and just was like literally dove across the line, try to get that spot. So he's a dog. So he'll be back for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
He put out though that like because how bad his ankle is, he won't be able to line up for Barcelona. Like he
saw
risked
that.
it all for that.
Sucks. I know.
That's just got me feeling for him. Like he was not in a good way, and then gets the spot, like totally risking it. Then it gets taken away, but now he's killed. Like he hurt the ankle more,
I
so
know.
now he's like done for the season. I would love for this to be like maybe a redemption story for him next season or something. It would be nice to see. I don't know.
Yeah, because honestly, you can't put both of them in there now, because now you're changing it twice, right? Like,
and they're probably
if they come out now and say, all right, well, actually, we've decided to allow both of them into the World Championships. We're gonna be like, what the hell are y'all doing? Who is running the ship?
That's some DECA stuff.
Yeah,
you know, that's what DECAFIT does. But that's
You're
like
all winners instead, because it was us.
Like we don't want to make anybody mad, but like they're probably like, we need to get this right. Like if you're just like, what is right here, and you're like, Sean did 99 reps, Tomas did 100, they finished the same time. So like in what is right and what actually happened during the race, like what they did is right in terms of like the result, you know? So like the way that they handled it, but that's what I mean. Like in terms of the result, like if Sean did get a no rep and they didn't call him across, like it's like a catch in the end zone, right? Like they did say some football. They just want to get the right call. And like there's some things you're like, that looks like a catch to me. If I was that person, I probably thought I caught it. You know, it was like, we want to get it right. So if that's where they're coming from, like, hey, we need to get this right because that's like, we need to stand for that. Then like, I feel like their hands are tied. They have to stick with Tomas.
Or they could have just been like, the judge told him to go. It was 100 reps.
Right.
The screen malfunctioned, and he actually did 100.
It was a bad call, right? Like the judge missed it or something like that, which they could have done. Then like I would have been fine with that too. I'd been like, yeah, hey, that's sports. There's good calls and bad calls. But they decided to, the 2 days thing is what kind of kills me. The retroactive changing of results is what I do not like. The imbalance of power is not right now. And this is just them kind of flexing it. So from that perspective, I don't like, but for what to do in terms of like who to put forward, it's like, I don't really know. Like I'm fine with either of it. They both were just like fought their asses off and both belong in this field, but it just sucks.
Yeah, definitely not a fun position to be in.
No, yeah, because I can't imagine if it was me, I would lose my mind.
This brought me back to Viola, and I'm gonna give her the biggest shout out in the world right now, because the way she handled that situation, at Worlds. Class act. I do not know that I would be handling that as well as she did. That entire situation, wall balls, getting ripped off the stage, back, having to do another rep, losing 3 spots. I don't know that I would have handled it with the grace that I would hope I would, but I don't know because that's so emotional. And it kind of brought me back to that scenario, because then it's kind of like, well, was that right? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? So now it's like, okay, this is 2 times now that we've had this kind of issue. And I think, and in that scenario, the target went to 100. The judge counted it back to 99 and made her come back. So this is the polar opposite situation.
They said they changed.
That's like my concern now, because we had this happen once and it was, you're supposed to listen to the judge. And the judges are the one, from my understanding, who retracted her the 1 rep at the end and then went and got her and made her do the extra rep. Now in this scenario, the judge is telling him to go. It doesn't count the rep. And now we're saying that's not good. So it's the
machine judge said no. Right. Which judge?
So it's like, yeah. And I think there needs to definitely be, and I'm sure that they're working on it, hopefully, because I doubt that they enjoy these scenarios. I'm sure they do not. It's not fun to deal with anyone pissed ever. So I'm sure this is, and I hope it's explained very clearly, especially at World Championships, like what to follow and who, because I mean, at least I know I'll be asking, because these races are getting so competitive and so tight. It's going to continue to happen where it's down to the wire. We will keep seeing athletes crossing at almost identical times. So this kind of stuff needs to be addressed now, because the fields are getting so much closer together. So it's going to be an issue, and the athletes need to really, truly know what they're supposed to listen to and follow. And they need to know also what they're listening to and following from a rule standpoint. You know what I mean?
And just so, like, we'll wrap this thing up, because I think we can go on and on about this. I have lots of thoughts. They are improving. They get better and better.
Every season.
They take feedback. They will have an answer for this moving forward for sure. Hopefully, because a lot of times they're encountering things that they're not equipped to make decisions on in the moment. It seems like, because it's a new sport, like it's like they probably didn't have this written up in their scenarios.
And honestly, I think the next step is getting a committee together to evaluate and come and maybe handle these scenarios. You know what I mean? Where there are issues arising. I don't know who it's going to be or who it should be, but I think there needs to be a review committee or something.
And some athlete representation, because like I said,
that would be nice.
This ain't good for us. All right, let's wrap this up. We're boring. Kang's over here yawning, dude. Leave, you guys too much melatonin.
It's 3:30. He's had too much melatonin.
I am tired. Not gonna lie.
Let's let him get to nap time. All right, squad. Thanks for checking us out. We'll talk to you soon.